Welcome to our discussion on attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. With me is Education Officer in the Special Education Unit in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Mrs. Christina Addington. Welcome, Mrs. Addington.
Thanks for having me.
The ministry has established a student support team to assist students that are diagnosed with ADHD, as well as providing a learning environment tailored to their needs. What exactly is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder?
Well, Joey, as stated in the name, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a behavior disorder, and its core symptoms are inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. The disorder, for some unknown reason, is more prevalent in boys than girls. And the disorder is a common disorder, and we have up to 10% of the children being diagnosed as having attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
So how does it manifest itself?
With students who are diagnosed with this disorder, we find that their inattention causes them in the classroom to not maintain focus for long periods of time. They are often daydreaming. Their hyperactivity causes them to be what they call restless, always fidgeting, squirming, can't sit down. Impulsivity. They are the ones who are always blurting out the answers, can't wait to take their turns, and always getting into little squabbles because of the impulsivity. They tend to act and then think about it after.
So how does ADHD affect the student's ability to learn?
Based on some of the characteristic features which I said, we know that it is normal child development allows for the children to be very active and not sitting down. But when it is chronic and when it is affecting their academic life and their social life, then they are usually referred for a diagnosis to be made. So if the inattention is way more than is expected for the level of the child's development, we don't expect a 3-year-old to sit down for 20 minutes. But a 10-year-old should be able to sit down for 20 minutes. So, we look at child development and see what is atypical about the development, and then the children are referred because we see the signals. They're referred for a diagnosis to be made.
How is a diagnosis made of ADHD?
For a diagnosis to be made, what happens? The diagnosis is made by a medical practitioner or a psychologist. It is not a single test that is done, but a number of rating scales are administered, and important to note is the fact that information is gained from both the academic setting, that's the school, and the social setting, so the home. So information is gained, is analyzed based on the scores from the checklist, then the diagnosis is made. It's important to note, as I said, that for the child to be diagnosed, the behaviors have to be observed across the settings. So it can't be that it's just being experienced at home and not in school, or at school and not at home. It has to be evident across the settings before a diagnosis, a concrete diagnosis is made.
Do the parents come in?
For the most part, yes. We embrace an inclusive approach to education. However, we find that with certain disabilities, if they are severe, then the children are not in the regular system, but they are in a special ed institution. Most children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, they are educated in the mainstream. And so what happens is through the special education unit and the special needs coordinators in the regions, we go out and we do presentations at schools. We also work with parents, so we work with the PTAs, we make presentations, we help parents to understand how is it that I can better help my child at home to cope and to be a success. Also, very importantly, as it relates to national examinations, if the relevant information is sent in, the documentation is sent in with registration. For all national exams, accommodations are granted to children diagnosed with ADHD. So we grant accommodations ranging anywhere from extra time to preferential seating to a prompter, depending on the severity of the diagnosis. And the extra time is a standard of 15 minutes, additional per hour that is given for the children. Preferential seating may be that the child is placed at the front of the room so that the invigilator, having noted on the paper that the child has a challenge, is able to give an eye to ensure that the child is kept on task. In more severe diagnoses, the child is assigned a prompter, and the responsibility of that prompter is solely to keep the child on task. So if the child is daydreaming or wandering off in his mind, just a gentle tap or nudge to help the child refocus.
Mrs. Christina Addington from the Special Education Unit in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information shared some vital information with us on how to effectively deal with children who are diagnosed with ADHD. And we want to thank her for joining us today. Thank you, Mrs. Addington.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And until next time, see you around.